So we cannot take you live to the court now because there's a new reaction.
Cross-examination by his deputy, Alfred Tuaye.
I want to correct some misconception and mischief that is the Attorney General and the government have created and using their surrogate media houses to be peddling falsehoods, twisting proceedings of the court, and then bringing out evidence that I have no idea about and trying to put it on me. I want to address that. The Attorney General brought a pile of documents to the court about my military career. I left the military about 17 years ago. Now, he brought a document purporting that I have committed certain crimes according to the letter. In fact, that letter, I was not copied. I have no knowledge of that letter. And that letter are allegations that are unsubstantiated, unfounded, and I was never confronted with it by the military 17 years ago. And that letter is purported to have been written by one Brigadier General Ahiaglo.
You know him?
In fact, I know Brigadier General Ahiaglo. He's dead. He's deceased years ago. And he wrote that letter on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff, who was by then Major General Odote. So Brigadier General Ahiaglo was a staff officer to the Chief of Army Staff. So he wrote on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff. So this unfounded allegation that I was never confronted with, I was never made known of, a secret report document that they wrote to the Chief of Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, who reports to the Chief of Defense Staff, the CDS. I have no knowledge about it. In fact, today is the first day I saw that letter, dated, I think, 22nd or so of 2007, about 17 years ago. Now, in that letter that I have no idea about, they claim I consistently engage in fraudulent conduct. And when you use the word consistent, it means I didn't engage in fraudulent conduct once, several. Yet the military that I know will not countenance such a behavior once, even for it to become consistent, without charging you, trying you, whether by your commanding officer or appropriate superior authority or by a court martial. I've never even gone on an interview on it. I have no knowledge of all those, that such a letter had been written by 7 military officers in order to get me out of the military without my knowledge. I was never made known about that.
But why didn't you make it clear to the court when you were confronted with the document?
I was never given the opportunity. In fact, the Attorney General was so mischievous that he presented a document, asked me to read it per the court rules. I read it, and then after reading it, he jumped into a different area so that I wouldn't have the opportunity to dissect that letter and expose the mischief and the unfounded allegation and the secret diabolical letter that was written in order to paint me black when I was in the armed forces during the MPP's time when they were in power in 2007.
Was that document not part of the disclosures made?
No, it was not part of disclosure. It was just brought today to the court. And in fact, that document has nothing to do with the ambulance case as we are dealing with now, at all.
But you understand they want to undermine your credibility. That's what they are doing. And prosecution is allowed to do that.
I agree. You do that, but then you do that with substantiated, incontrovertible evidence. Not someone who has written a secret document about someone and the person was never confronted. He has no knowledge about it to even defend himself or to even speak to that those allegations. 17 years ago. And the surprising thing about the whole of that document was that what that letter was alleging was not upon which I was released from the service. That's even the surprising thing about it. I was released under a clause in our Armed Forces Administration volume. It's a law, which states that I am being released for lack of application or interest. Lack of application or interest has nothing to do with misconduct and service terminated, which is purely under the discretion of the CDS of the Ghana Armed Forces. So I was not dismayed, I was not released out of misconduct. In fact,
were you released out of indebtedness to several people and institutions, which is part of what you read in Open?
Not at all. In fact, the release quoted the clause in the Armed Forces Administration law, quoted it clearly. And in that law, it talks about lack of application or interest, service terminated. And I was paid all my gratuity fully. The Armed Forces paid my gratuity fully. And also, in the release, there was an arrangement for the Armed Forces to bear the full cost of my transportation of all my household, which, as we speak now, they have not even paid it to me.
No, if you look at the document that I was confronted with, do you feel hurt? Does it hurt your case?
No, not at all. In fact, it's a diversionary tactics employed by the Attorney General trying to discredit my credibility because he had engaged himself in criminal conduct and trying to coerce me to commit a crime by implicating Honorable Atufosin and answering questions to make his case good in court. And also procure a dubious fake excuse duty to deceive the court.
And you say you were as fit as fiddle?
Yes, to deceive the court. And as at the time he was impressing upon me to procure a fake excuse duty to deceive the judge and the court so he could travel, I was as fit as a fiddle. So I couldn't lie to the court. So I refused.
Why didn't you go to the police station and make the report straight away?
Oh, that is yet to be done because the evidence is still there. And I will wish to remind you, crime against the state has no expiry date. So at any time of my convenience, I can go and...
Mr. Jakpa, were you disappointed that the Attorney General has moved away from your claim that you engaged him on the telephone and he's focusing more on the contract and the LC?
Can you come again? I don't get your question.
Were you disappointed when the Attorney General stepped in? He moved away from your claim that you had an audio conversation with him and is focusing more on the LC and the contract between Government of Ghana and Big C.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all because he had to move away from the audio recording and then the WhatsApp meeting and other things, calls he made to me, he had to run away from because those are incontrovertible evidence. He can't lie about them. There's no way he can lie about them. And they are facts. So he had to run away from them. And now he's gone on the wild goose chase looking for things in the military I left 17 years ago to come and discredit my credibility, which has nothing to do with the substantive case in court. And the court has allowed him to go on that. He spent almost about 10 hours, more than, let's say, about 6 to 8 hours on that expedition. And luckily for me, the evidence he brought from the military contradicts themselves. The release clause contradicts the letter that was written, is purported to have been written by Brigadier General Anyaglo. He was impugning fraudulent conduct, indebtedness to people, without naming the people, without naming the institution. It's just a cooked up story that they've just brought up. And when you even look at the coat of arms of the letter, you can see that it's doctored. Because the coat of arms, the wings of the eagle, is broken.
You didn't point that in the open court.
I wasn't given the opportunity to even delve into the letter, except to just read it so they can go and use it to do their propaganda business on air. If they had been given the opportunity, I would have dissected that letter, shown them how fraudulent that letter is, And they use Brigadier General Hiaglo's signature and his name. And that man is dead. Dead men don't talk. So he's not around to come and answer to those unfounded allegations upon which they are claiming I was released. But the release letter didn't state them. Didn't state any misconduct. In fact, it contradicts what is in that letter.
Now,
and that is what is surprising me.
The first time today in court, you had the Attorney General, had a face-to-face encounter with the Attorney General. How did you feel at the time that he was on his feet to subject you to cross-examination?
You know, the Attorney General only started the cross-examination after we had passed the stage where he engaged himself criminally. He waited after the Deputy Attorney General had passed that stage. Then he came to now deal with the contract issue. I wasn't disappointed because between you and me, this is a man who lacks character. He lacks conscience. He has no respect for any decency. All that matters to him is the end. And he doesn't really care how he achieves it. Whose image he destroys along the way. He doesn't really care.
He made the point that because he rejected your request for a plea bargaining or for you to be used as a prosecution witness, that is why you are doing all these.
That cannot be. The Attorney General had already promised me that I was going to go off at the submission of no case.
So you believe him at that point?
Just hold on. Because to him, I was just a mere agent. But I was being used because as a collateral damage, because in political trial, there must be a collateral damage. Some people must be sacrificed, and that I should know that. And it's a two-forcing they are going for. So I will go off at the submission of no case. But unfortunately, at the submission of no case ruling, I was asked to open my defense. And even the most amazing aspect of it all is that I was asked to open my defense on a faulty charge, on a non-existent charge. A charge that the Attorney General had not charged me on. But then the court said in his ruling that a prima facie case had been found on me on a different charge that I was not charged on. I have not pleaded guilty to it. I don't even know about that charge. So they didn't establish a prima facie case on the charge that the Attorney General charged me on, but rather on a non-existent charge that I didn't plead to. But be as it may, we are at the Court of Appeal on it, on that particular one. And the proceeding at the High Court is still ongoing. That one is passed. We'll deal with it at the Appeal Court. It wasn't a proposal. What it was that when he said I was a collateral damage, and I'm just a mere agent and I'll be left off. And I said, then if you know I'm a mere agent and I don't have any obligation to the government, and I'm not also mentioned in the contract, and I didn't have any obligation in the enforcement of the contract, then why didn't you use me as a prosecution witness? It was a question I posed to him. Against that person? No, as a prosecution witness. Because if you say that I don't have any question to answer on this, I'm a mere agent, and you still determined to use me, then the best option is to use me as a prosecution witness. You call me and tell me, okay, you know about this contract. We want to use as a prosecution witness. That is for me to now decide whether I will accept it or not. But for you to, on your own, mischievously and diabolically, decide that you make me a collateral damage because you are on a political trial and you need to jail Atuforsen at all costs because your president and your former finance minister want you to jail him. I don't think that is fair.
When you were confronted with the exhibits, which has to do with the WhatsApp chat between yourself and the Attorney General, in reading it, you got to a point and you said, this message is deleted. Do you recall that very message that was deleted and who deleted it?
No, you know, I started communicating with the Attorney General way back 2022, in February. And you and I know very well, when you are sending a message to somebody and you type a message, and you send it and you realize, oh, you sent the wrong message, you delete it. It's normal in WhatsApp. But if you wait after maybe 3 or 1 week, you are deleting, you can only delete what is on your phone, which is you alone, but you can't delete what is on other person's phone. So you realize that the deleted that I deleted was instant because I sent a wrong message and I just deleted it. And then I sent the right one. That is normal in sending WhatsApp messages. But it's because they are mischievous and he's pretending to be ignorant about how WhatsApp operates. He's just saying that, oh, you deleted something that was relevant. No. I sent a wrong message and I just deleted it instantly and sent the correct one. It's normal in WhatsApp.
What do you make of the point that you ask Mr. Jakpa a simple question and he has to spend so many minutes, so many time responding to that simple question?
You see, the questions that this mischievous and characterless Attorney General asks in court, you can't answer that question by simply saying yes or no.
But he wanted a yes or no answer.
And he will not get a yes or no answer from me because I'm smarter than him. He is asking for a yes or no answer on a question that deals with my integrity. He is not asking for a yes or no answer in respect of the contract. It's about my integrity as a person that he wants to discredit because he has lost his integrity as an Attorney General. So he wants to equalize. So you must understand the motive of the question and deal with it properly and give the background and let the world understand that it's not just a yes or no answer to that mischievous question. People must understand what is behind that question. And that's what I saw I did.
During the cross-examination, before you go, the judge and together with your lawyer on a number of occasions had to advise you to tone down on your use of expletives on the Attorney General when he was cross-examining you.
You realize that the Attorney General, whilst in court, the judge even had to lose her temper and caution him, and even said he doesn't want to reprimand him. Because whilst I was answering questions, the Attorney General was sitting on the touchline. He is scared to come in and be in the dock and be cross-examined on his criminal conduct. But he's sitting on the touchline and then heckling me and talking whilst I'm answering questions and distracting me. I hope you understand. And the judge had to warn him, caution him, to stop that unprofessional conduct. If he wanted to tell me why I should answer my questions, he should be bold enough, he should have the balls like a man, and come and sit in the dock. And then they put questions to him, and let's see whether he will be cited for perjury or not. But coward as he is, he's sitting on the touchline, and then stoking the fire, and then making provocative comments.
Okay, one last from me. One person that you have consistently mentioned in this whole thing is your cousin, Justice Yoni Kolendi. Somebody say that you have brought up this whole thing as it stands. You put his career on the line.
Oh, that is not so, because right from the beginning, I never mentioned Justice Yoni Kolendi's name in court. It was the prosecution that mentioned his name in court and continue on air through their media surrogates, because they were thinking that the recording that I had made, they thought the recording was made in Justice Yoni Kolendi's house initially. So they were preempting it because the recording had not yet been played. So they thought it was made in Justice Kolendi's house because the AG knew very well that he had met me in Justice Kolendi's house on several occasions, and we've had meetings. So he was thinking the recording was done there. So he was preempting it. And that's why they went on Justice Yoni Kolendi and trying to put him under the bus. And that is why the Deputy Attorney General wrote that they hadn't met me, they've never had any discussion with me. In fact, he denied it. But later it came out that what he was saying was a lie. Now, when the audio was released, it was clear to the whole world that it wasn't a recording from Justice Yoni Kolendi's house. It was he, Attorney General, who called me on his phone early in the morning, I think around 7:40 or something of that sort, that he called me and tried to impress upon me to commit a crime. So this issue of Justice Yoni Kolendi, they started it. They thought it was from his house, and they went after him.
So as swerving them, what is your relationship with Justice Yoni Kolendi like now?
Justice Yoni Kolendi, we are cousins. We are first cousins. He's my senior brother. He gives me a lot of advice.
Has he become annoyed of you?
He cannot be annoyed with me.
Do you go to him as you used to?
We still communicate.
When was the last time you communicated with him?
Oh, I don't have that off head. I don't really have that offhand.
After the allegations were made?
After the allegations were made? Yes. But I think it was the initial part. Initial part. In fact, when they accused him that they believed that the recording was done in his house, he called me as a junior brother. I went to him, and he put that question to me. And I said, senior bro, I have my code of ethics that I operate with. I cannot record in your house because your house is a safe place for me and for whoever comes here from our family. So I operate within certain rules. So long as the AG kept coming to your house to engage me, he was safe. I couldn't do anything. But he went out of his way because he couldn't get what he wanted in your house. And now he was engaging me one-on-one, direct on phone. And in that way, it's an open field. The jungle is neutral. So I had the right to execute my skill. But in Eunice's house, I couldn't do it because it's a family. There are certain rules that you must apply in family meetings. You can't break those rules. No. So just in Yori Kulendi house, nothing was ever recorded.
The case is still under subject, so we'll leave it here. We hope to see you next Monday.
How would you rate your own performance today against prosecution?
Well, one particular aspect that took me aback was the clear ignorance of the Attorney General on what is ISO certification. In fact, the Attorney General was arguing that the ISO certification is an incorporating registration, which means that Big C was incorporated in 2015. That's why he was claiming, using that. And I tried to educate him that that is not an incorporation certificate. Because to incorporate a company, it must be done by a sovereign nation that have laws to incorporate companies. But ISO certification is a certification by international standard organization that satisfy manufacturing companies and private companies when they are manufacturing products about their quality standards. So, and it's renewed yearly. So seeing ISO 2015 doesn't mean that Big C was registered in 2015. And even the document you brought yourself, under it is latest issue, recertification. It tells you that it's being renewed every year. And the man was still swimming in his ignorance and wouldn't admit that a private company or a private organization cannot create a company to be in existence in a sovereign nation without going through the laws of that country. I don't need to teach him that. But the man was so ignorant about what is an ISO, a whole state, a whole attorney general of a nation. Just as I was educating him on an LC, on the audio recording, I've been educating this young man. But the man's ignorance is just beyond unbelievable. He wouldn't accept it because of his arrogance.
So on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your performance today?
Oh, well, you have to rate my performance. I cannot mark myself.
Thank you very much.
But I just want to say that I'm still in shock that the one who advises government on all legal matters, on all transactions and everything, doesn't understand what is an ISO. And he thinks that an ISO certificate is an incorporation for a company to come into existence. That is serious. It's just a normal standardization of when you are manufacturing, you want to use a certain standard quality and all those things. You buy products, they are stated there. And when you buy a product and you see ISO certification, it means a company's product has hit a certain quality. It doesn't mean that that was when the company was registered and incorporated. There's ignorance, and you are in court and you want to jail somebody like me who has been educating you. It's strange.
All right, so you've been listening to the third accused in the ambulance case or the ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa. Also reacting to events that took place in the courtroom today. We've got more coming your way pretty soon, but for now we'll take a short break right here on the Pulse on Joy News We shall be back. We'll take you to Parliament. We'll take you to the Electoral Commission. We'll also have a conversation about the CTAC strike in the way forward. Stay right there.